sound
to me.
as well, because it's rubbing against my skin, so I don't.
Hello, my name's Louis Holbrook, and today I'll be hosting this final episode of A Game of Two Halves, a show produced, directed and created by third-year sports journalism students here at USW. In today's episode, we'll be looking into the ex-semi-professional basketball player and current coach of basketball and rugby teams in South Wales, Gareth Cooks. We'll also be hearing from mental health advocate and first responder Amelia Kilby about how she feels physical activity can impact a person's mental health. And finally, we'll see a matchday experience at League Two side Newport County. We'll also be joined in the studio by a cheerleader who was both a member and coach of the Swansea Sirens, as well as speaking to a fellow third-year student about how he feels the sports journalism course has set him up for the future. But before all of that, we look into the biggest sporting stories in Wales this week. Rob Page has announced his squad for the upcoming internationals earlier in the month. Page has been dealt a blow, however, with Ben Davies having to be withdrawn. Davies was substituted during Tottenham Hotspur's Premier League draw at Southampton last Saturday with a suspected hamstring issue. The defender was named vice-captain when the squad was announced. His absence is certainly a significant blow as Wales prepare for their first action since last year's World Cup. But in more positive news, Chris Gunter will still be meeting up with the squad despite the retirement early this month, as he joins Robert Page's backroom staff. Wales' Six Nations campaign will be seen as a disappointing one, with Warren Gatland's side losing 5 of their overall 6 matches and finishing 5th in the competition. Gatland's side managed their only victory of the championship against an Italy side who unfortunately finished bottom of the table. Despite disappointing results though, Gatland has stated that he was proud of the team's performance after their defeat to France on Saturday. In UFC, Welshman Jack Shaw took his record to 17-1 as he submitted so-called Mr. Finland Makwan Amirkhani. After the fight, in an emotional speech, Shaw dedicated the win to his father and trainer Richard Shaw, who is currently undergoing treatment for cancer. Now to today's first story. Gareth Cooksey was once a basketball star in Wales in the Wales youth system, but has now decided to begin coaching the sport. He tells us about his inspirations and why he feels basketball is the perfect sport for kids to get involved in.
So basically I started playing basketball when I was about 10 or 11 years of age. Done other things like football and boxing and so on, and enjoyed those, but then I found basketball. I had quite an inspirational coach and it just captured me really. I loved it, and every night after school I would just go to the local basketball club, play basketball for 2 or 3 hours on my own, because things with football and other sports, sometimes you need other people, you need other people to play football with, but with basketball, I found it was one of those sports you could just, all you really needed is a basketball and a hoop. And because of that, I would just spend countless hours practicing, probably more than the other kids in the club really. And because of that, because I could do that, I probably said made more progress than the average kid, because I could spend those hours, I was playing about 20 hours a week. And then from there, I played for the age groups, played some age groups a year or two older, played for mid-glam in when I was under 14, went for a Welsh trial a year early, didn't get in then, but I got in the year after, and then played in the Welsh schools there after that then. I continued playing until I was about 17, 18, and I got into rugby more then, purely because I think rugby was more accessible in South Wales. There wasn't really that many basketball teams when I got under 18s. I went to uni, rugby was a big thing, and then I saw the basketball sort of faded out for me then. But I do regret that, because I was always a much better basketball player than I was a rugby player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sort of celebrate your coach then, being inspirational.
Yeah.
And sort of, can you go a bit more into that?
Yeah, so do you know what, he was this little old guy, and he passed away actually last year, and his name was Neil Hammond. He was really inspirational, just a kind guy, giving loads of time. He would give up 3 days a week, give Mondays, Fridays and Sundays, particularly when we got better, he would give us an extra on the Sunday, and he just give up absolutely all the time, and I just had a nice relationship with him. As it happens, actually he died last year, and about 5 years ago, so I'm currently at that point of 44, I always thought, do you know what, I know he's on running forever, and I just wanted to write him a letter to thank him for what he had done for me, because if it wasn't basketball, I don't think I'd ended up doing well in school. I wouldn't have passed GCSEs, I wouldn't have become a teacher. And then I run lots of basketball clubs over the years in school, and lots of children have played basketball because of that. And I actually think if I hadn't met him, none of this would have happened. So in that way, there's a bit trail back from a man who throughout his time to a little kid to everything in my life now has really come from my days playing basketball. It's my job. And I moved to Cardiff, and I met the wife, I met the little, all those things come back from the moments when you were a young boy and caught into a sport with a particular person who's given her a hard time. Yeah, so over the years, I've run lots of basketball teams, and funnily enough now, I had a phone call from a boy, he's about 30 now, he's just started a basketball club up in Cwmbran. There's a massive basketball academy in Newport run by a guy called Asa Williams, and Asa taught basketball when I was in different Newport. He hadn't played any basketball really until he came to the school. I did about 2 or 3 years with him. He got captured into basketball. I left it, but he kept that going, and he now runs a huge academy in Newport with about 3 or 4 players. So I always stem that back from this guy Neil Hammond. Between I didn't do basketball with Neil Hammond, but instead of me play basketball later on, maybe been someone else in Dubfrid in Newport would have done that with him. So over the years, I've run quite a number of teams. I'm assistant head teacher now, so I'm not running as many teams as I used to. But in the summer now, we just had a new coach from there relayed. I run some basketball club for the People's Youth because, and the school is predominantly rugby and football, but there's loads of kids keep around Woodruff all the time asking me, can we have a basketball team, can we have a basketball team? So I'm going to run it once again this summer. The school hasn't done all the basketball the last year, mainly because I've stepped back from teaching PE. But I'm going to do that this summer because I know there is a massive love for it. And I said I played rugby, I played football, I've done lots of other sports, but to me, as a game, I think basketball is the best game. It's just so universal, it's short and really tall. There's minimal contact, which means you haven't got to be, you haven't got to be something massive, bruised and burst and be good at it. You can have different skills, but the skill set to it, the shooting, the dribbling, the passing, it's just an amazing game. And it's dynamic, it isn't stop-start, it is, as in with American football, it's like 1 minute timeouts all the time, it stops. It is literally non-stop, so that's the thing I'd love to work to as well.
Some incredible insight there on how the special effort from one individual can have a butterfly effect on so many people's lives. In Britain, it's said that 1 in 6 adults, struggle with depression. We spoke to mental health advocate Amelia Kilby to get some insight on how she feels being active can help ease the impact of these mental health issues.
Mental health is something almost everyone struggles with from time to time. I spoke to first responder and mental health advocate Amelia Kilby on how she feels physical activity is a good way to try and combat these mental health issues.
I started going to the gym when I was around 18 years old. I originally started going because I thought I needed to lose weight, but looking back I really didn't need to, but I'm glad I started going. I think the gym can be really beneficial for someone's mental health, even if they don't feel like it's making much of a progress. I mean, if you keep going over a certain duration of time, you're just going to get better and better. I mean, it's scientifically proven that it releases endorphins. When I first started going, it did feel like a chore, but it's now just part of my daily routine and it's just a healthy habit to have. But the biggest impact, I think, is just being more consistent.
I then asked how she thinks personally going to the gym has helped improve her own mental health.
My mental health has improved a huge amount since being more active in the gym. Not to say that it's been a linear progression, but I know when I'm more consistent with going to the gym, my mood doesn't fluctuate as much and I'm more consistent in how I'm feeling. I've had big and small setbacks with my mental health, but I think the main thing is to keep focusing on the goal of being mentally healthy, even if that definition doesn't fit everyone else's. As long as you're happy and doing your own thing, and going to the gym will help doing that.
Studies show that there is approximately a 20 to 30% lower risk of depression for adults participating in daily physical activity. Physical activity also reduces the likelihood of anxiety attacks in individuals who struggle with them regularly. But this physical activity is not just exclusive to going to the gym. It could be playing a sport or even just going for a walk.
We're now joined in the studio by third-year sports journalism student Lewis Sharp. So, Lewis, can you tell us a bit of how the course has helped you in terms of looking towards the future and any experiences that you might have had that have helped that as well?
Yeah, so from the first year, obviously we were taught how to do everything in sports journalism, really, interviews, match reports, and I've, in my own time, gone outside of uni, especially in first year with COVID. I was at 3-4 football games a week between the Cymru Premier and the Welsh Premier Women's League, as it was known at the time. So it's really helped me in that sense. And to this point now, for instance, this week I'm on work experience with the FAW as a media operations manager. So I was at Wales under-17s game yesterday, and I really feel like without the sort of experiences and what I've learned on this course, I wouldn't be where I am. Doing match reports, I was sort of looking and observing the post-match interviews with broadcasters, and as I mentioned, without the course I wouldn't be where I am today.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Lewis. Next up now, a nice change of pace as we join third year student Nathaniel Baker as he takes us through the experience of a match day at League Two side Newport County as they faced AFC Wimbledon.
Since being reformed by a group of fans in 1989, Newport County has been seen as the pride of Newport in terms of football. So I went down on a match day to find out what the experience is like firsthand. Firstly, I stopped off at one of the most popular matchday pubs, the Dodger, which even for a Tuesday night fixture was full of fans looking forward to the game. I then made my way to Rodney Parade, a ground that is shared with rugby teams Newport Rugby and the Newport Gwent Dragons. There was an incredible atmosphere at the ground, with fans pouring in right up until kick-off. Despite the poor form this season, Newport County have been a club on the up over the last 10 years. Since their promotion to League Two 11 years ago, they've been to 2 playoff finals. Although Newport County have only lost 2 of their last 11 league matches, you can still feel the nervousness around the stadium. With AFC Wimbledon being a close contender with them in that relegation battle, this felt like a must-win for the Exiles. By the time kick-off came, the atmosphere had picked up even more. But even with this support, Newport County started poorly and ended up conceding to an early tap-in from AFC Wimbledon striker Ali Alhamdi in the 5th minute. Newport County knew if they wanted to get anything out of this game, they had to play a whole lot better in the second half. And they did, dominating the first proceedings of the second half and eventually getting a goal through Harry Charsley in the 69th minute with a wonderful finish from just inside the box. With the game ending 1-1, neither team gave in, and neither did the Newport County fans, who continued singing until well after kick-off. Tipping off an incredible matchday experience at Newport County.
We're now joined in the studio by cheerleader and coach for the Swansea Sirens, Ruby Davies. So Ruby, how did you become a Swansea Siren to begin with?
Well, I started off cheer very young, and then I stopped for a while, but then when I joined university, I found that they had a team. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I'd done cheer all my life, absolutely loved it. So it was another way to kind of be to keep active because I wasn't able to find that time within uni and studies and stuff. So yeah, I joined the team and was lucky enough to coach for my second year.
And so what has led to that coaching? What was the influence behind it?
Well, I always kind of found myself pushing the other people in my team. I enjoyed shouting, I guess. I enjoyed the whole idea of, pumping people up to keep going and, because it can be quite strenuous, any routine. I'm not sure obviously you've got any experience within cheer, but anyone who does will tell you that, you know, it's only a 2 minute 30 routine, but that 2 minute 30 routine is, it's hell. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I enjoyed the whole idea of pushing people to do better, push harder, and yeah, it was a no-brainer.
You spoke just then about the 2 minute 30 routine. Obviously, there's a lot of work done to be done by a lot of people in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
How important would you say that teamwork is within the roles that you do?
Well, teamwork, like any high impact sort of team, it's important. So obviously there's people holding each other in the air. If, you know, one person lets go, the whole thing comes down. And in any sort of competition, those can be really high marks deducted, and obviously anyone wants to win. So that first place is always obviously the main prize. So dropping anything or anything sort of wobble will be some sort of deduction. So definitely, you know, it's important to be a team.
And so obviously, like as you said there, it's important to be a team, but with any team, there's got to be a team leader.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the most important thing for a team leader to take into that?
From the team leader, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see it a lot recently, even in football and stuff like that. So you see the team leader kind of showing examples, i.e., you know, people like, you know, you watch Arsenal nowadays, how much their culture has changed within a team. So yeah, I kind of took a lot from most teams like that, where you kind of push others to, how do I word it? But yeah, just kind of having that culture of everyone supporting everyone, because, you know, the typical cheerleader is that, you know, you're kind of there for yourself, but being kind of a team is the idea. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. And thanks to Ruby for joining us. It has been a massive pleasure. And now, through our time creating this show, we've had some excellent guests, some impressive video packages, as well as some maybe questionable auto cue work. But on the whole, the project of A Game of Two Halves can be seen as a massive success. If you've missed any of the episodes, you can check them all out on our YouTube channel, USW SJTV. We hope you enjoyed this final episode of A Game of Two Halves. Thank you and goodbye.